Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Should we be listening to ministers who claim to have miraculous cures to the coronavirus? Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or a comment, add it in the comment section below. All comments are welcome. You know, as the coronavirus is spreading, finally, there are more and more people who are taking it seriously. Of course, the government is taking it seriously because the country nationwide is on nearby shutdown. and there are even those that fear that martial law is going to be imposed. I don't know if it's going to come to that, but for sure, we need to understand the seriousness of why these measures should be taken. Now, just so we remember, there are some over 200,000 cases of infected people with coronavirus. There have been nearly 9,000 deaths. And by the way, this chart is already outdated. In other words, there's probably a lot more. And when you look at a breakdown of a chart of the nations, of course, China leads with 80,000 cases. Iran has some 17,000. Italy has 35,000. Iran has 17,000. Spain has 14,000. Germany has 12,000. And the United States falls in at 6 with 9,000 cases of infected people with coronavirus. So the problem with this is, and it always boggles my mind, why there are those who choose to downplay or exploit this disease. For example, many of the conservative media, such as Fox News, remember, said it was a hoax. It's no big deal. One of their argumentations, if you remember, that they would claim, and they would use this sort of, cheap argumentation. Well, in the United States, there are 350 million people with only 9,000 cases. What's the big deal? Well, here's the big deal, and this is why I want to go over this again. This is the big deal. One, think about it. There are 9,000 cases. Now, just for example, worldwide, there's nearly 9,000 deaths as a result of coronavirus. Now, as I said, the chart I'm looking at here is already outdated. In the United States, in Illinois, where I live at, it's already outdated. The number of cases has already jumped, in fact, doubled. So when people say, well, what's the big deal? In a country of 350 million with only 9,000 cases, let's put this in perspective. As if, are you saying that the deaths that is happening are insignificant? And that's the kind of thing that you have to kind of wonder. But beyond that, let's just say, if you could only say that if you had the disease under control. But they don't. Remember, as we speak, the number of cases of people being infected by coronavirus is increasing. That's the problem, because we don't have control of the disease. And unlike a disease like, let's say, AIDS, when, for example, if me and my wife don't stray out of our marriage, we won't get begin contaminated with AIDS. The only other way, for example, would be a blood transfusion, something like that, through needles or something like that. But my point, as you can see, is very containable. But corona, we don't know who is infected. We don't know how long they have been infected. We don't know how many people they have come in contact with, those who have been infected. So thus, we don't know how many other people they have infected. Now, we must not, this cough, by the way, y'all, is not corona, it's bronchitis. But anyway, here's the problem with this coronavirus. It spreads so fast, and it spreads simply by touch. In other words, the virus can linger on a surface. So, for example, this mouse, if I was infected, I took, I sneeze on my hand, I'm infected, I now touch this mouse, the virus lingers on the mouse. Now, if someone else come in, like my wife, who then touches that mouse and uses the computer, now, and then she rubs her face or whatever, her eyes, whatever, she's now infected. Here's the thing, though. We may not know that we are infected until we start experiencing symptoms. And by that time, how many people did we contact? Now, suppose again, you go to work, you go on a train, you transport, you go to the store, whatever. Infected people are transmitting the virus in a lot of cases without even knowing they are transmitting the virus. So that's why it's a problem. And so to downplay the problem is serious. Now, there are two things that needs to happen. One, what needs to happen is that they need to slow down the spread rate. In other words, the infection rate. People transmitting the virus. While simultaneously, they need to find a cure for the virus itself. And these are the things that they're working on that, of course, is easier said than done. How do you solve the problem? So now we see where they're trying to restrict the flow of people. But there's a bigger problem. There's another problem, I should say. Not so much it's a bigger problem. But there is another problem, and that is when you have people, men of the cloth, who, to me, either exploit or they are taking advantage and downplaying, and how are they doing that? Well, for example, they're downplaying it by saying, I have the miraculous cure, that I can cure by the power of God. As one minister said, put your hand on the TV screen. Another minister is selling silver, right? God told him, hey, sell this product. And by the way, all of the ones, there's another minister who is taking a cash app, right? A cash app doing this crisis. We don't have to see you, but send your money in. And by the way, the common denominator in all this, money. All right, they all collect money. And their schemes are designed to get you to give their money. This is what makes their actions so despicable. Okay, these ministers like that. Okay, ministers who prey on the sheep and say, hey, God is telling me, don't fear corona, the virus, or come to church. Don't be afraid to come to church. Here's the problem with this. Unless you can guarantee that people are not infected, why are you inviting people to church? Now, the idea is that, are you going to be responsible when they get infected? Are you going to be responsible for an infectious outbreak in your church? It's kind of silly. And I'm not telling people whether or not should they have service or not. Here's the point that I'm going to say, is that don't be cavalier about it in favor of your schemes so that you can collect money. Because make no mistake about it, that's what they're doing. Whether they're telling you to lay your hands on the TV screen, because I guarantee you, right after that, they're going to give you instructions how you can give money. Same thing now, the one minister who had a cash app, he was even more direct by saying, look, you are obligated as a member of this church to pay your tithes. So even if you don't come, pay your tithes. The other minister was selling product, bogus, fake products, right? That he had, and the FAA, by the way, told this particular minister, stop selling this product. Here's the point. Should we be listening to men that claim they have miraculous cures? No, because you know what? The miraculous cures never show up. And that is the problem with these men. This is a more deadly disease and has a potential that's going to harm other people. It's not like if you believe some of these fake healers when you have cancer or something like that. The problem with believing some of these ministers to disregard protocols and safety and health safety protocols is you can affect other people. And that's what we need to be careful of right here. We need to take that in consideration. So be careful about who you listening to, and the quote unquote men of the cloth that claim they have miraculous healings. Okay. All right, guys, that's my perspective. And as always, look, like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then. All right.